Reddit, what was the worst party you ever attended? Maybe this was my WASP party. I was working at a crappy company a long time ago in December, and we found out suddenly that our whole division was getting laid off like literally days before it happened. So most of us knew it was happening a day before the year-end party, which would be our last working day before holidays, and then we wouldn't be coming back. So we are all bummed. So then our manager comes in with a Christmas cake. He was going to be laid off too, and he says so at least we should have a cake to celebrate the season, so we all kind of agreed, with broken spirits. But he didn't have plates or spoons or knives or even napkins, so we all literally just had to scoop out a bit of cake with our hands and just eat it. All the while, a cloud of sadness hanging over us. Was quite depressing. That freaking sucks. At least you got cake. Was a date to a female friend's cousin's wedding. The father of the bride died of a heart attack during the reception. A horrible, horrible night. I was bartending a wedding where the bride's dad died while they played the song they would have danced to. Office Christmas party where we were sent a stern letter saying if we dared to not stay an extra hour to make up for the time we spent at the party or didn't use PTO, we would be at risk for being fired. Oh yeah, then the budget was cut to $50 and everyone was told to bring their own food. Yay company morale. Read this in Morbo's voice. Structured fun will be had in a timely fashion. Refreshments will not be provided. Years back I was at a pool party. By nightfall everyone was pretty wasted. One of the guests thought it would be funny to fill a Jägermeister bottle with ipecac and offer shots to the people in the pool. 12 or so people did a shot and were so wasted that they didn't care that it tasted funny. A few minutes later it was a total puke fest in the pool. Kinda like that scene from Family Guy, but in water, so everyone was screaming and scrambling to get out as the pukes whirled around them. He was right. It was funny. On the day of my 16th birthday party, my parents made my friends leave before the cake was cut. Then they told me that they read my journal and busted me for smoking pot, which I outlined in the journal. I had to write an apology letter to Jesus. My 5th birthday party. It was in one of those places with a ball pit and little slides and everything, and the only part I really remember is rising up out of these balls with my hand covered in baby crap. Might not have been baby crap, if that makes you feel better. I had a friend from high school invite me and 3 other friends over for what he described as a party. We thought that it might be a small gamer party with some nerdy board games or something, as there were only the 3 of us plus him and his wife. His wife then proceeds to start an hour-and-a-half presentation about Urban and tries to sell female beauty products to a group of males between the ages of 19 and 22. I was astounded. TLDR. Friend invited a group of males to her party to try to sell us feminine beauty products and make us consultants. Reminds me of when I was around 16 and my parents got invited to a dinner party. Not only were their friends pushing them to buy Amway products, but their kids were trying to convince me to buy Amway products too. One of his sales pitches was, bro, your mom will totally love the fact that your room is so clean and dust free with the new Amway furniture polish. It wasn't that bad of a party or anything. I think it was like my 8th or 9th birthday party. My mom tried her very best to organize a fun, clean, safe party. So one of the games we played was that we had to peel and eat 2 clementines the fastest. Then she hung a clementine, peeled, on a string, and the person that could take the biggest bite, no hands, won. Then we ate clementines. We were pretty poor. If you guys were actually that poor, then I commend your mother for trying her hardest to make your party great. She sounds like a great lady. I went to a formal and I had a really awkward date. She started off in the beginning lecturing me about endangered free-range cows, then started asking me random questions like what brand of sandals do you prefer. Then she got into a religious argument with a kid who was Muslim and claiming that he is worshipping a false god. Then when I finally got her to come dance with me, she sprained her ankle. Endangered free-range cows. What? I was 17. Went to a party. Only knew a few people. Got high. Got drunk. Was I drunk? Passed out next to my friend. Mr. Toilet. 5:30 am a cop is yanking me up off the floor. I'm still drunk and cop is dragging me out of the bathroom, throws me on a sofa and tells me to stay there. 4 hours of people yelling at me, questioning me, threatening me later, and the cop takes me to the police station for underage drinking and suspicion of rape. Seems a 14 or 15-year-old girl from down the street was at the party and went missing that night. Her dad was out looking for her. Asked some guys smoking outside if they had seen her. They said they had but that she left. The dad goes home, calls the police, then goes downstairs and sees his daughter on the sofa, passed out, nude except for my goddamn shirt. I was wearing 2 shirts, took one off when I got there because it was hot as heck. It turned out she had sex that night but couldn't remember with who. Cops assumed it was with me because of my shirt, but I was nowhere near her. Didn't have sex with anyone that night. Spent most of it curled up on the bathroom floor with a towel for a blanket. My passed out in the bathroom alibi was witnessed by a ton of people. Fortunately, the guy who did have sex with her came forward and cleared me. He was 16. Not sure what if anything happened. Doubt it though, cause it was the late 80s when people didn't get bent out of shape quite like they do now. I found out weeks later that the girl had a crush on me and told her parents and the cops it was me at first. So I'm sure that didn't help my cause. Even though I did nothing and was cleared of everything, the neighborhood still acted like I was a rapist. Dang suburbs. For prom I asked a chick I'd never spoken to but had a huge crush on. After I had asked her out and walked 10 feet away, my friends gave me a loud cheer complete with multiple high fives and huzzas. It was horrible. The next few weeks leading up to prom were also terrible. I tried to talk to her between classes but it just wasn't happening. Prom went terribly. My parents made me spend way too much on photos. I literally have a yearbook full of them. At least I look fantastic. She said she didn't want to dance, which I was fine with because I can't anyway, but she also apparently didn't want to talk, so we spent the entire evening outside, cold and in silence, watching other people dance. After that we went to an after party that neither of us were sure we were invited to. She didn't want to drink and had just given up smoking since her lungs were crap, so we sat and caught stray ping pong balls while straining at making idle chit chat. Then her ex-boyfriend showed up and she decided she needed to go. She drove me since I didn't have my license. The whole ordeal was very painful, but it helped me realize I need to get to know people before deciding to like them instead of just staring at their butt all semester. My prom date turned out to have no personality and the humor of a 6-year-old. I'm at least on the level of a 7-year-old. Proud to say I found the girl of my dreams now. I need to get to know people before deciding to like them instead of just staring at their butt all semester. You, my friend, have managed to kill every fantasy I have with the attractive girls that I don't speak to at my college. My 18th birthday party. Crazy ex had just about disassociated me from any of my remaining friends I had. Long story, but they were so sick and tired of her bulls and me sticking up for her as I was blindly in love, they wanted no more to do with us. Yet then she decided to add salt to the wound by inviting them all round to my 18th birthday party at her place. She sorted out a load of food, cakes etc and music. But of course none of my now ex-friends were going to make any effort to go around to her psycho's house for a party. So as you can imagine, my 18th birthday party was her telling me, see, you call them friends? They don't even come on your 18th birthday party just because they don't like me. She later admitted and confirmed my suspicion that she fabricated the whole thing on purpose, in order to make me realize that I had no one in my life other than her, and as such was unable to leave her. A primarily gay Halloween party I went to one year. Some drunk buttholes showed up and started hurling slurs to these guys before realizing where they were. A transsexual dressed as Diana Ross, son wig, chased them out into the yard and down the street with a lead pipe. A transsexual dressed as Diana Ross, son wig, chased them out into the yard and down the street with a lead pipe. That sounds like a pretty good party to me. A few weeks ago, I went to a bonfire party at a friend's house. I was drinking a beer and playing some cornhole. I had set my beer down for just a few seconds to throw the cornhole bag. After I throw it, I drink my beer again. Suddenly, I start feeling dizzy. I figure something's up, So I quickly leave the party and drive to my friend's house just a few blocks away. He comes out of his house, and by that time, I'm losing it. I tell him that I think someone put something in my drink. So, he takes me to another friend's house to watch over me. On the way there, I am freaking out because he's driving my car at 25 miles per hour, and I feel like it's freaking warp speed. I feel absolutely numb all over my body and keep trying to feel my face to see if it's there. My eyes feel like they are 10x the normal size, and I feel like I'm on a roller coaster and being sucked through a black hole at the same time. We get to the friend's house and go inside. They give me some water and watch over me while I pass out. I wake up a few hours later, feeling a little better. They take me home, and I go to bed. The next day, I feel completely stupid all day, unable to think clearly or remember much of the previous night. TLDR. Went to party, got drugged, freaked out, had friends help me recover. You have some good friends. Large house party in college. It was really rocking. Everyone was having fun until some dumb drunk jock decided to jump from the second floor balcony. He landed poorly, shattering his tib fib with exposed bones. Seriously hurt himself and totally killed the party. Totally killed the party, what in butthole. Went to a party with a friend from the restaurant I was currently working at. It was another employee's house and he invited several others from work. Sounded alright until I found out it was from a place known to be a little backwards. So we take an eighth of shrooms each on the way. We barely find our way there and it is about 10 at night. No one else is there yet except for the guy hosting it. He tells us people are on their way and shows us around the house. He lets us know that his kids, 5 and 3, are asleep in the back rooms and that his wife is at a girls' night with her friends. A few people finally show up from work, including one of our bosses, who shows up with one of the cooks. Apparently they are sleeping together. Makes things a little awkward, but it is nothing compared to what happens next. Now the shrooms are really kicking in. His sister shows up and starts yelling at him for throwing a party that has drugs and beer all around while he has his kids there. It's awkward because he is acting like he was caught red-handed and is dead quiet the whole time he is getting yelled at. She is yelling at everyone to leave while my friend and I slip into the basement with a few others. I feel like we were down there for years with the awkward couple, but I am sure it wasn't very long in hindsight. Eventually we hear no more yelling coming from upstairs, so we go check on things. There is no one to be found in the kitchen, so we go check the living room and find the host making out with his sister on the couch. My mind is full of frick at this point, but the shrooms keep me quiet and we just stand there, watching things escalate until clothes start coming off. The drugs say nope and I scream while my friend starts cheeking out and we start tripping over crap, making a break for the door. We stumble in my car and I get to the end of the driveway and realize I'm in no condition to drive. Host comes out and I refuse to roll down my window to face the situation. Eventually I do and he tells me that was his wife, and I woke up the kids. We went back inside and played Wii bowling. Went to a party once. It was 12 dudes playing Magic the Gathering and one passed out drunk chick. Also, I always feel weird when I walk into a party and I'm the only black guy there. Every time everyone stops what they're doing and stares at me for 2-3 horrible seconds. I will walk through the back door to avoid this. But wait, frick, I just segregated myself. That wasn't a party, it was a gathering. My girlfriend and I both work at a movie theater and another girl we worked with invited some people over to her house. First off, let me just say that this place is in the backest middle of nowhere. So here we are, driving out to someplace where modern medicine hasn't made a foothold yet. We get there and the girl isn't even there. She gets there an hour later and at this point it's still just the 3 of us. Some more people finally show up, including her 40-year-old sister, her 8-month-old baby, and her scumbag trashy husband. You could easily tell this was a shotgun wedding. Anyways, the girlfriend and I decide not to drink because at this point we want to leave as soon as possible without being rude. This 40-year-old sister has no intention of leaving anytime soon, apparently, because she proceeds to knock out more shots than there are minutes in the day. Fast forward 30 minutes and she starts screaming at us because she has forgotten that we were even at her house. Which wasn't her house. It turns out that babies don't enjoy yelling at 2 in the morning, so her baby in the living room starts screaming, crying. Like this thing must have the vocal cords of a full-grown adult male lion. The mom is too drunk to even get up and help her child, so I'm thinking we need to get the frick out of here at this point. Before we make it out however, Joe Dirt over here pulls out a baggie of weed and a one-hitter. "Wanna hit this?" he smugly asks. We decline because we are honestly thinking about breaking through the kitchen window to get to our car. So everyone, except us, passes around the one-hitter. Out of nowhere, a 9-year-old child, yes, I said 9 years old, comes out of nowhere from the back of the house. He confidently picks up this one hitter and finishes it out, packs another, and finishes that one. I honestly had no idea what to do or say. The girlfriend and I promptly leave and go home. It honestly felt like I was about to be on Cops. It was the perfect people, setting, and time for an episode. TL. DR. Bad boys. What you gonna do? Glad you escaped being on TV. By maybe it would have been the right thing to actually call the cops. I mean, if drunk mothers can't take care of kids, and 9-year-olds are knowledgeable enough to load a one-hitter, somebody needs to step in. About a year ago I went back home to visit my parents and some old friends. It all went well except for the night a friend and I went to Godang Jeff's birthday party. Here is the setup. My friend and I have been shooting pool and trading pictures since noon. Hey, vacation. It is creeping up to 7:30 when my mom calls and asks if I wouldn't mind going to such and such's birthday as a representative of the family because she is stuck at work and wants someone to go. I ask who it is and how old they are. My mom informs me that it is Caleb and he is probably turning 21. I ask my friend at the bar and we both agree that 21st parties usually equate in free booze for attendees, so why not? We walk to the liquor store and split a bottle of mid-shelf scotch for good old Caleb, whoever the heck he was, and an 18-pack for us. Drunk me decided that the easiest way to do a card was to have the cashier print off some blank receipt paper and quickly scribble out, "Happy birthday from Derp family," and tape the sucker to the bottle. Good to go. We grab a cab to the address my mom had texted me and roll right into this rager of a party. A rager of a 4th birthday party. It wasn't Caleb. Caleb didn't even live there anymore. It was freaking Jeff. We had already plopped our generous offering on the gift table by the front door before we had walked into the party proper. So here are two drunk dudes, armed with an open case of beer, got thirsty in the cab, and we have just interrupted duck, goddamn goose. We left in such a panicked, drunk hurry we didn't even think about the scotch we had both dropped $18 on. We just got out as fast as we could, walked as fast as two drunks can for a couple blocks and called a cab. I got home to my mom laughing her butt off about the phone call she got from the family about the Derp family's odd choice in gift for a 4-year-old. She apologized to me and decided that she wouldn't choose me as a family representative for any future get-togethers. That crap was weird. I once attended a 2-year-old's party. His name was Samuel. Turns out it was his happy snip day circumcision gala. Grade 5. Nerdiest kid in class sent out invitations to almost everyone in our grade. His mom had planned a huge pizza party and had strung streamers and decorations everywhere, and we were going to go to laser tag after. I was the first one to show up, so we ate some gummy worms and watched Digimon while we waited for everyone else. Anyway, long story short, no one else came. She made us wait a couple hours before just driving us to Burger King and taking us home to play Nintendo. So, all in all it was actually a pretty awesome party because, you know, Burger King and Digimon and Nintendo. I even got to take home 3 treat bags after the fact, and probably would have taken more but wanted to look polite and not like a candy addicted diabetic in training. You know, I would later hear from one of my other friends and a group of kids we were hanging out with that most kids had thrown out their invites or hidden them so their parents wouldn't force him to go hang out with the unpopular kid. Moral of the story, kids are not adorable bundles of innocence. Kids are freaking dongs. I went to a Super Bowl party at this church. I don't go to church at all, but I went because this chick that I was crushing on was there. We were in high school. So I get there, the game is on. There's snacks and video games. Overall it's an alright time. And then the halftime show is about to start, which is always the most interesting to me. Well, we didn't get to watch it. The church shuts off the projector, and instead this dude starts preaching Jesus and whatnot. Granted, I am in a church, so I shouldn't be too surprised, but I was pretty pee. I felt like they were keeping me from the most entertaining part of the Super Bowl. So whatever. I just go home and try to forget it. I go to school the next day, and everyone kept asking me the same thing. Hey man, did you see Janet Jackson's tit yesterday? Mother, TL, DR, I miss Janet Jackson's boob, because Jesus. That really would have been an interesting event to witness with all of those people there too. Bummer man. I went to the worst birthday party ever, once. 3 people were sitting silently in various corners reading comics and occasionally glaring at people, refusing to participate in any conversations. The guy whose birthday it was said he was very ill, and went to bed early ostensibly to sleep, but when someone went to check on him he was playing Fallout 3 instead, at his own party. No one drank any alcohol except me, and I ended up having to make conversation with someone I'd had a massive falling out with a few years ago. That conversation was at least tolerable until she started in with her old tricks of passive aggressiveness and then blatant insults, at which point I said frick it and went home. You know it's a crappy party when the host ducks out to go to sleep. My 19th birthday party and my parents had gone away for a month. I was head over heels for a girl who kept telling me it's not the right time for me to be in a relationship now. Rather than hear the no which she implied, I'd just wait another month or 2 and ask her out again. My friends and I partied all summer and my parents left about a week before my birthday. My house was now party central. All week long I had people trashing the place, crashing over, waking up, and we'd all pitch in and get the house back in shape. It was working really well. Additionally, the object of my affection slept with me 5 nights in a row. Just sleeping mind you. No funny business much to my chagrin. Saturday's my birthday and we were set up right. My brother got us a keg, and my band was set to play the basement. People show up and things are rocking. While the band is playing I notice no one's hitting the keg. Some dude I didn't know showed up with a trunk full of booze and is making mixed drinks. Hey, who am I to complain? After the band is done, and feeling mighty as Mr. Cool Guy guitarist, I go to find my little peach. We've been sleeping together after all, and I just rocked the house. She was in the backyard fricking the guy who brought all the booze. I got very drunk, angry, sad, woe is me drunk. I did as much draining to that keg as I could. At about 9 a bunch of my friends, the girl included, left as we'd run out of pot. They headed over to our bassist's house to get lit up. I kept my downward spiral of beer and depression going. They got back around 2 AM. I had spent the last few hours staring at the ceiling from my bed. I go out to the back porch to smoke a cigarette before the confrontation. I smoked the butt, edit, probably chained a couple, and walked back to my room. There's the girl and 4 of my other friends passed out in my bed. Every bed in the house was taken. Every couch was taken. Every comfy chair was taken. I was beside myself with self-pity. I slept on my parents' kitchen floor feeling very alone in a house full of friends. The Offspring was big that summer. They had that line, the more you suffer, the more it shows you really care. Right, they must have been reading my mail. So there I was, an ambitious and fun-loving 19-year-old in my 2nd semester of college. I had been the good student my 1st semester, but quickly, over winter break, discovered the wonders of beer. My 2nd semester was normally a bit of a blur. My roommate had a very nice and quite attractive girlfriend who would come by our dorm room on a regular basis and would go out with us to the various parties around town. She always seemed to have a good time, but the next day she would talk about how bad she felt, despite appearing to be completely fine. Then one weekend she excitedly arrived to our suite and came bouncing into our room. She was amazingly excited to invite us to her party. Some of her friends was throwing a party at their house and she wanted my roommate and I to go. I had met a couple of these friends in passing and they seemed to be nice girls and were also quite attractive. The 19-year-old male in me was up for going to this party. That night, My roommate and I walk over to his girlfriend's dorm room to meet up with her. She is driving and we excitedly head off to this party. Now let me preface the rest with one important fact. I had decided to pre-game for the party and was, as a result, about 10 beers deep. I had a solid buzz going. We arrive at the house and there are a few cars in the driveway. It's only about 8 PM so we are pretty early. The apparent number of people already there should have been a good sign of the night to come. I was lied to. As we enter, I get my first glimmer of an idea that what I was hoping this party would be like was simply not in the cards. I walked into what may have been the largest collective look of distaste that I have ever witnessed. I was not only the sole attendee that had been drinking. That would be the case for the entire night. It was at this point that my roommate's girlfriend took the opportunity to inform me of what I determined to be a very important piece of information. At that moment I learned that she and all of her friends at this party were Mormons. So there I was, drunk, stuck at this house with about 25 Mormons and my roommate. That is all that happened. They didn't play games. They didn't listen to music. They were offended by Law and Order as my choice for something to watch on TV. I had the joy of sobering up while listening to them talk about church. I twice asked my roommate to just punch me and knock me out so that I could just wake up when it was over and we were going home. TLDR. Ain't no party like a devout Mormon party, because devout Mormons really don't party. My worst experience was when I was invited to a classmate's 18th birthday party, legal age for voting, driving and drinking in Sweden. In high school, I didn't really hang out with my classmates on a regular basis but figured that it was kind of a big deal turning 18 and that it would be kind of dickish to say no, so I said I'd come. I knew that this girl and several others in my class were religious but not in a particularly annoying way, but in Sweden it's kind of weird to go to church every week. Anyway, when I came to the place where her party was supposed to be, warning bells went off. It was a church. So this was starting to feel really weird by now, but I stayed and eventually found the two only people in my class that I usually talk to, two Muslim girls BTW. Not that it matters, but it's important for the story. Turns out that nearly everyone there was in her church. I can't really say that anything exceptional happened, but I felt as I was in a cult. Everyone just seemed like they were over the top nice and friendly, in a creepy way. After an okay amount of time I called my dad, who came to pick me up. I said goodbye to the birthday girl and excused myself and lied and said I needed to get up early in the morning. But instead I went to another party. Fast forward to Monday in school. My two Muslim friends tell me that just after I left the party they started playing soothing music and everyone was supposed to lie down on the floor and think about God. They found it a bit odd but decided to just play along. This worked out well until one of the girls' cell went off. The birthday girl's father then barges in the room, takes the girl's phone and proceeds to lock it in a drawer. He gave her an angry look and said it was necessary so she wouldn't ruin the moment for everyone else. I guess it wasn't that extreme, but ordinarily these parties mean beer, no parents home, hitting a bar and get wasted. This was easily my worst party experience ever. In middle school, 8th grade where I was, we had a German exchange student who was really popular, Helga. She got along with everyone, sat with the cool kids at lunch, etc. She was in 9th grade, but the 8th and 9th were somewhat mixed in my school. Her 16th birthday was in December, and her host parents rented out a huge hall for her to throw a birthday Christmas party in. The entire 8th and 9th grades were invited, and I remember her talking about it 4 weeks beforehand, and other people being really excited about it. It was like the event since my school didn't do dances for the lower grades. The day comes, and my best friend and I are excited to go. We got dressed up and everything. My friend and I weren't popular, but Helga was our good friend, so we were really stoked about being invited to her party. I wore makeup for the first time in my life. The party started at 6. But being the nerds we were, my friend and I were there at 5:50. The only other people in the hall were Helga and her host parents. We hung out, waiting for everyone to show up. All 400 students. They had this awesome Mexican restaurant cater the event, so there was tons of food. Seriously, more than 400 students needed. Her host parents had a lot of money, and they spent $4K plus on this party. No one else showed up. At 8 o'clock, Helga broke down into tears. My friend and I stayed and comforted her most of the night, as did her host parents. At 9 o'clock, we turned on some music and had ourselves a little gluttony fest. The food was great, but Helga was devastated. That weekend, her host parents decided to take Helga, me, and my best friend out to a theme park, King's Dominion, for a whole day so Helga could have a real birthday celebration. They paid for everything, including overpriced toys and pretty much anything we wanted. After we went back to school in January, winter break, no one would talk to Helga. She sat with my friend and I for the rest of the year. It still breaks my heart to think about her face slowly falling over the course of those 2 hours between 6 and 8 p.m. A couple years ago while I was still in high school, it was Halloween and my friends and I decided to go party hopping. By the fourth house, one of my friends, JC, was pretty sloshed, and before we knew it we all were. Said friend was looking for every attractive guy that would let her hit on them, and there was this guy in particular that looked extra sketchy. She flirted hardcore with him and soon enough, they were walking upstairs to find some privacy. I was a bit worried about what was going to happen, so I come up to her and ask if she really wanted to do this. Seeing that she's still a virgin, she told me that she'll be fine, and she only wanted to talk about life and that she didn't want to hook up or anything. My judgment was extremely clouded that night, so I just let her go. The next morning, I wake up and gather all of my friends in the living room and look for JC upstairs. I open the door and find her clothes completely torn and on the floor. I look at her and find bruises all over her body and some blood from a cut lip. She is hysterical because she doesn't remember what happened last night and she is in pain everywhere. She was freaking raped. I told her we needed to report this, but she pleaded not to tell her parents about this. I respected her wish. However, the others who witnessed it did not. The next day during school, JC gets a text from her mom saying you and I need to talk. Jace is frantic at this point because her mom is 20 notches past overprotective. She was taken out of school that day to get tested for diseases, twice, and then a rape kit was performed on her. Thank goodness she was negative in all her results. The following weeks were heck as detectives kept pulling us out of class and interrogating us about what happened that night. All of our reputations were shattered, me being the B who allowed it to happen, and JC being the loosest girl in class. I regret everything that I let happen that night, and still feel guilty about it. Every now and then I go to support groups with her. TL. DR. My friend got raped and I was too drunk to stop it. JC being the loosest girl in class. As if being raped isn't awful enough, might as well be blamed for it and called a yes. People are awful. My buddy said he was throwing a Christmas Eve party and that I should bring 2 birds because everything else was covered by people bringing to share. So I paid my $20 for some fine stuffed chickens and got some of the most delicious and expensive hot sauce in the country too. Because why not go out for your closest friends around the holidays, right? I showed up early, and from the driveway noticed the lights were off. I rationed that I must be the first, or even better that my dear friends had lit candles and were caroling or playing Yuletime games. When I let myself into the living room, I was perplexed. The house was completely bare. From somewhere in the dark nether came my friend trudging down the stairs dressed in nothing but his boxer shorts, wiping the spittle from his chin. His cheek still lined with bed marks and his hairy stomach grumbling like a rabid mongoose. He mumbled something to me about the lights being shut off before he began tucking into my delicious poultry, ripping great strips of meat from the birds and stuffing them into his stupid face. Though I didn't want to admit it, my mind was beginning to realize that the whole thing had been a ruse by this obese sloth to get a free meal. He remembered his manners long enough to offer me a glass of water and then he was back at it, half dressed, hunched over the living room table gorging himself on my chicken and gargling down my special sauce. He was lucky he was late on his electricity bill because he didn't get to see me sitting in the dark, tepid glass of water in hand, shivering with rage. That is disgusting. I don't know how you held your composure. RIP chicken and special sauce. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.